Deadpool and Wolverine is the first R-rated film in the MCU. It's directed by Shawn Levy. It's also the first movie Deadpool has been involved in the MCU, and it's the first time Hugh Jackman's coming back as this character after saying he was done. And here, a listless Wade Wilson toils away in civilian life with his days as the morally flexible mercenary Deadpool behind him. But when his homeworld faces an existential threat, Wade must reluctantly suit up again with an even more reluctant Wolverine. But before we go any further, I do want to give a very special thank you to the sponsor, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. Their team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also, discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. So what are you waiting for? Get started today and fuel up for your springtime goals. And for us, Factor really cuts down on grocery trips, so it saves a ton of time. It's so much easier, especially with kids, to just be like, I know exactly what we're having for dinner tonight. We don't have to worry about that. We'll make it quickly. We'll be able to focus more on them that way. It just makes everything run so much smoother at home. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code Stuckmann50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code Stuckmann50 at factor75.com for 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. Check out that link in the description below, and thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring this video. First, I want to talk about director Shawn Levy, because this is obviously a huge win for him. He's been around for a very long time, I think longer than most people realize. He started his career directing mostly family television. He directed a family movie called Address Unknown in 1997. Then he went on to direct a lot of Nickelodeon shows, many of which I watched as a kid. Eventually, he found his way into the studio rom-com world and did some stuff with Ashton Kutcher and Steve Martin. All along the way, he was still directing television and the occasional big movie like Night at the Museum, or Real Steel, the first time he worked with Hugh Jackman. Then Stranger Things came along and he made a movie with Ryan Reynolds called The Adam Project, and now he's working with both of them again in a giant MCU movie, the first of which, as I said, rated R. So this is a very long build-up to what will probably be his most successful monetarily movie. And visually, this movie looks phenomenal. There's an action sequence that's very Old Boy-esque, following Deadpool and Wolverine as they wreak havoc inside of a bus. When it comes to the action, the movie does not disappoint. There's tons of it. There's fight scene after fight scene, another really glorious opening credit sequence set to NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye, which is also a fun bookend for the way they've chosen to end the film, which I won't spoil, of course. But there's a song during the end credits that also feels very much like a wrap-up or saying goodbye, and having a sort of jokey way to literally say bye to the Fox universe at the beginning of the movie, and then have ways of wrapping all of that up in the film. It feels like a really heartfelt embrace of everything that Fox tried to do with a lot of their superhero movies over the years, Deadpool being one of their last and greatest attempts. And now that he's part of the MCU, this movie wisely acknowledges and pokes fun at a very long and storied history of superhero films. But what you really come to this movie for, at least I hope so, is just to see Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine teamed up with this version of Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, because both of these actors have had movies where their character hasn't been treated exactly well, or the film didn't work out, but they've really found their wavelength for the character now. And the cool thing about Wolverine is that you can have a movie like Logan that's extremely serious, or even The Wolverine, or a film like this, where that character is the straight guy to Deadpool's insanity, and they play off each other great. At the end of the day, it kind of feels more like a buddy cop movie than an MCU film, which is fantastic. And of course, once again, without getting into any details, the film is really good at giving comic book fans things they've wanted for a long time, but also having the guts to say, you know, this thing you've suggested in the past? Well, here's what it might look like. And then you realize, yeah, okay, maybe it is better to change some things. This movie has a lot of things that they have to set up, because you're bringing Deadpool into the MCU. You're also the first R-rated film that has all different types of language and things that the MCU has never had before. And there's fourth wall breaks, just like with any Deadpool movie, but it also has to set up this plot, bring Wolverine into it while not messing with Logan, because most people really like Logan. And I can only assume that this movie was probably tested 1,000 times before they found the most acceptable route for audience appreciation, which seems to be a lot of action, pause for exposition and figuring out where we are, a lot of action, pause to restart and figure out where we are, and that's kind of the way the movie flows. And it's entertaining all the way through. It's paced very well. Deadpool even kind of acknowledges at one point near the end that the film might be running a tad long by looking at us and saying, "Don't worry, stay with us. We're in the home stretch here." And again, without getting into any details, there are many moments in the film that made me smile considerably and that made me very excited, and some very fun ways at exploring things that almost happened that didn't quite come to fruition, and how that could be viewed through the lens of comedy. And there's one specific choice with one of those, I guess, fan-friendly moments is all I can really think to call it without giving anything away, that I thought was fairly surprising given Marvel's current history. And that is all I can say without literally spoiling it. I don't think this is the best Deadpool movie, but I do think that it might be the most fun, like in regards to just fan service and action and lighthearted, witty banter. It doesn't feel as perfectly structured as that first movie, but seeing Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine, even though I never thought it would happen again, it was just a delight to see him in that yellow suit and being Wolverine again, because it really is, I mean, really think about how long he's been playing this character. And I can only imagine, like, different superheroes like a Batman or a Superman have had all different types of actors come in and out of that role. Even the Joker now has had multiple successful incarnations. But Wolverine is so attached to Hugh Jackman because they just got it so right the first time that I can't even imagine whoever would have to try to step into the claws again. It just doesn't feel, it feels so wrong. And I feel awful if that ever happens in the future for whoever has to play that role and go through all of the, well, he's not Hugh Jackman stuff. But man, is he good in this movie, and so much fun to watch against Ryan Reynolds. If this ends up being the last time we see Deadpool in a movie, he's had a fantastic trilogy. Ryan Reynolds has really done a great job to make this character the way he should be, because obviously he tried with Origins and really kept trying and got it right. And this trilogy is a ton of fun. It's a really, really good superhero trilogy. And they're all different in their own ways, which I really admire, probably because all three of them have different filmmakers. Obviously, there's a lot more to talk about when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine, but I really want to preserve the fun for you guys if you haven't seen the film yet. So go check it out. Thank you so much, as always, for watching, guys. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.